Have you ever found yourself caught in that frustrating loop? You're busy all day, just ticking things off, but when it's done, your mind feels kind of fuzzy, memory's not quite there, and you just feel off,
Yeah.
maybe sluggish or unmotivated, even a bit down, and you can't really pinpoint why.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling, that sort of pervasive mental exhaustion, that's exactly what Dr. Mike Dow dives into in his really insightful book, The Brain Fog Fix. Reclaim your focus, memory, and joy in just 3 weeks.
Okay.
And what's so interesting, really compelling, is that the fix isn't some super complex medical thing. Often it's about making these surprisingly simple but, well, profoundly effective holistic tweaks to our daily lives. So today we're going to dig into his sources and see how we can maybe unfog our own minds.
Okay, let's do it. So he calls this a brain drain epidemic. That sounds pretty big. Like, this isn't just me feeling off after a long week. It's a widespread thing. What's
Yeah.
actually happening to us?
You've really hit on something key there. It is a silent epidemic, and the stats are kind of stark. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services found only about 17% of American adults are in what you'd call optimal mental health.
Wow, only 17%.
Yeah, think about that. It means the vast majority of people, maybe most people we know, are likely struggling a bit with their mental well-being. And looking deeper, like 1 in 10 U.S. adults is on depression meds.
Okay.
And for women in their 40s and 50s, it jumps to 1 in 4. Plus, the projections for dementia, they're talking 115 million worldwide by 2050.
That's alarming.
That's genuinely alarming.
And at the core of it, Dr. Dow explains, is this destabilized brain chemistry. We're talking key players. Serotonin, that's for calm,
Yeah.
optimism. Dopamine, excitement. Motivation, pleasure. And cortisol, the stress hormone.
Right, the usual suspects. Exactly. And his core idea is really powerful. He says, if your brain is in bad shape, chances are the rest of your life is too.
Yeah.
He paints this picture of how modern life, poor diet, not enough sleep, constant stress, social media madness, lack of real connection is basically, in his words, flooding, starving, clogging, and disrupting our brains.
Flooding, starving, clogging, disrupting. That's quite a description. So tying our daily habits right back to those brain chemicals. If our environment is doing that to our brains, how much is down to something as basic as, well, what we eat every day? Is food really a major driver of this brain fog?
Oh, it's absolutely foundational. Diet plays this huge, often really underestimated role. Take carbs, for instance.
Okay.
Dr. Dell explains how those high glycemic index carbs, think sugar, white flour, processed snacks, even lots of fruit juices, they cause these super fast blood sugar spikes, right? And then inevitably, these sharp crashes follow that whole roller coaster. It directly leads to brain fog, fatigue, and over the long haul, it even ups the risk of dementia. He puts it so well, he says, high GI carbs act a bit like cocaine on your brain, a spike followed by a crash.
Whoa, okay. Like cocaine, that's intense.
It is intense, and it's not just a metaphor for feeling tired. It means our brains are literally getting wired for those quick dopamine hits, which makes it harder to stop eating those foods. It shows how deep the physiology runs with cravings and our mental state. You see it in stories like Annie's from the book. She's this 41-year-old single mom, thought she was eating healthy, right? But she was unknowingly eating tons of these blood sugar spiking foods, and it was a big part of her anxiety and depression.
That's really eye-opening. I mean, thinking my morning cereal or that healthy juice could be messing with my brain chemistry like that. So it's not just the sugary carbs. What about things like fats and proteins? We usually hear they're good for us, right?
Right, but it's about the type. The book really hammers home the importance of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA for thinking, cognition, and EPA for mood. These are super anti-inflammatory.
Okay, the good fats.
Exactly. The issue is our modern diets are just overloaded with the other kind, the pro-inflammatory omega-6s. You find them everywhere. Processed foods, soybean oil, conventionally raised meat. Ideally, the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 should be maybe 2 to 1, but most Americans, we're eating closer to 10 to 1, even 25 to 1.
25 to 1.
Seriously. And that massive imbalance directly fuels inflammation throughout the body, which is strongly linked to depression and brain fog. And it's not just fats. Our brains need high-quality proteins and what Dr. Dow calls cofactors to actually build those feel-good neurotransmitters.
The cofactors, like what?
Think B vitamins, vitamin D, C, iron, magnesium, copper. Protein gives you the building blocks, the amino acids, but you need these cofactors to turn them into serotonin, dopamine, all that good stuff. And loads of us are deficient. He notes 95% of seniors, as well as most women of childbearing age, are not getting the right amount of folate. That's a key B vitamin. Many are low on B12 too.
Wow.
So if you're missing these key ingredients, well, your brain chemistry is going to be off. Simple as that. But the good news, right, is you can make swaps. Complex carbs like quinoa, sprouted bread instead of white, wild-caught fish for omega-3s, olive oil, berries, even turmeric, common in India where Alzheimer's rates are way lower. Small changes can really start to refuel your brain properly.
Okay, so diet is clearly massive, direct impact. But like you said, Dr. Dow argues it's also how we live, which for me, this is where it gets really interesting, that always on, always sitting lifestyle. How does that connect to brain fog?
Yeah, this is huge. He talks about sitting disease. Just sitting for long periods dramatically increases the risk of disability, like by 50% for older adults.
Okay.
But here's the hopeful part. Even tiny breaks, like walking for just 6 minutes every hour, can cut blood sugar spikes after eating by 20%.
6 minutes. That's it.
That's it. It shows that little movements add up, And then there's exercise itself. Consistent moderate exercise doesn't have to be a marathon running, just jogging or brisk walking. It actually outperforms antidepressants in improving mood and cognitive function.
Outperforms them. How?
It boosts something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of it like Miracle Grow for your brain cells.
Okay, good analogy.
Right. It helps grow new cells and connections, promotes neurogenesis, making totally new neurons. There was a Duke study showing exercise beat Zoloft long-term for keeping depression from coming back. And just walking a mile a day can cut your risk of future memory problems in half.
So moving your body is like a natural mood booster and memory pill combined. That's pretty amazing, especially thinking of movement versus meds for some people. But, okay, beyond sitting, what about this digital deluge we live in? The constant pings, the notifications. How's that messing with our brains?
Oh, it's a colossal factor, what we call multitasking.
Right.
The book says it's really rapid single tasking, and it tanks our efficiency by like 40%.
40%.
Yeah. And our devices, they're constantly hitting us with notifications, likes, emails, alerts. Each one gives a tiny little dopamine hit. It creates these addictive loops, keeps us distracted. He shares the story about Monica, a publicist, and mom. Always connected, right? And it was damaging her family time. Her daughter actually said, "Mommy, you never look at me when I'm talking to you." Ouch.
Oh, wow. That hits home.
Right. And the book makes this really sobering point. Driving while using a phone is comparable to drunk driving. Think about that. These constant distractions, the 24/7 pressure, they're stealing our sleep and, kind of ironically, pushing us away from real human connection.
Okay, so this hyper-connected world is fogging us up, distracting us. But what does Dr. Dow say about what all this lack of real presence does to our basic human need for, like connection, joy, sense of belonging?
That's exactly the next crucial piece of the fix. He talks about an epidemic of loneliness, even though we're supposedly more connected online than ever. And what's really wild is that loneliness isn't just sad, it's physically damaging. It's linked to anxiety, depression, and can actually double your risk of Alzheimer's.
Double the risk from being lonely.
Yeah. He shares Shannon's story, successful career woman, but deeply lonely, end up self-medicating, angry. And for her, the miracle cure was just connection. Picking up the phone, making dinner plans, simple acts, but transformative. And beyond just social ties, the book really champions spiritual practice and meditation. He explains how these practices literally change your brain. They can thicken the prefrontal cortex. That's your brain's CEO, right?
Yep.
Decision-making, emotional control, compassion. And at the same time, they quiet down activity in the parietal lobe, which helps dial down that constant inner chatter, fosters a sense of oneness, and directly fights loneliness. And the best part, you don't need, like, decades of practice on a mountaintop.
Okay,
No.
yeah.
The research shows just 12 minutes of practice a day can bring significant benefits in weeks. Even for 80-year-olds, it can improve memory by 10–20%. So ultimately, building connection, finding support, cultivating companionship, Dr. Dow says it's just non-negotiable for thinking and feeling better. It's fundamental.
Okay, I hear all that, and it makes sense. But hang on a sec. Isn't some of this just common sense? Like, eat well, move more, connect with people, maybe meditate. For someone really struggling, maybe someone reflected in those tough statistics you mentioned, could it feel a bit simplistic?
Yeah.
Or even overwhelming to try and change everything?
Yeah, no, that's a really fair point, and it's something the book tackles head on.
And what about the medication part? Suggesting people might not need meds they rely on. That feels like a potentially tricky area.
Absolutely. Let's unpack those. First, the common sense thing. You're right. Some elements sound like common sense, but the value here is the why, the science behind it. Dr. Dow explained how these simple things work on a biological level. neurogenesis, brain chemistry balance, reducing inflammation. It's not just eat your veggies, it's eat your veggies because they provide cofactors your brain needs to make serotonin. That understanding can be really motivating.
Okay, so it's the science behind the common sense.
Yeah.
Got it. What about it feeling overwhelming?
Right. The 21-day program described isn't meant to be this rigid, lifelong sentence. It's framed more as an intensive overhaul, like a reset button.
Okay.
The idea is to kickstart changes, build momentum, and then, importantly, he advocates for an 80-20 rule for the long haul. So it's about sustainability, not perfection, which hopefully makes it feel less daunting.
80-20 rule, okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Now, the medication.
Yes, the medication. This needs careful handling. Dr. Dow is very clear. Some people desperately need pharmaceutical help, sometimes short-term, sometimes ongoing. The book is definitely not anti-medication across the board or suggesting people just stop their meds without medical advice. That's crucial.
Okay.
However, the book does argue, based on research, that a shockingly large number of people are being given meds they really do not need to address problems that would be better solved in other ways. He cites a big study showing a whopping 23 of Americans currently on antidepressants do not meet the clinical criteria for depression.
2/3. Wow.
Yeah, so it raises this important question. Are we sometimes too quick to medicate symptoms before fully exploring the underlying lifestyle or environmental factors? His approach is about considering natural strategies first or using them alongside medical treatment, always guided by a doctor. He also highlights concerns about side effects and what's called polypharmacy, where the side effects of one drug lead to needing another drug and it spirals.
Right, the cascade effect.
Exactly. So it's really about empowering people with knowledge of all their options, fostering a more holistic view, and encouraging conversations with healthcare providers.
I appreciate that balanced perspective. It's not anti-medication, but pro-empowerment and pro-holistic health. Giving your body and brain the best foundation first, and using medication strategically when needed.
Precisely. So if there's one key thing to take away from this deep dive, it's probably this. Your brain chemistry is fundamentally calling the shots on how you think and feel. It sounds complex, but you actually have incredible accessible power to help rebalance it yourself through this kind of holistic approach. Dr. Dan really boils it down to two core ideas. Give your brain what it needs and remove the obstacles. And crucially, these aren't necessarily huge, daunting tasks. They're often remarkably simple changes that can unlock those inner reserves of energy, clarity, joy, and purpose we all have.
I love that. It feels really empowering, doesn't it? Just knowing that these small conscious choices we make every single day can actually add up to have such a big impact on how sharp our minds feel and how happy we are overall. It's not about searching for some magic pill, but just consistently, intentionally nurturing our brains from all these different angles. So if you want to explore these practical science-backed strategies more and maybe think about starting your own journey to clear the fog and reclaim that focus, memory, and joy, definitely check out Dr. Mike Dow's The Brain Fog Fix. As always, we've put the links right there in the show notes for you.
And maybe just pause for a second and ask yourself,
Yeah.
if our brains really do shape our entire experience of life, what's one small investment you could make in your brain's well-being today that might open up a brighter, clearer future? We'd genuinely love to hear what resonates with you too. What's one small change from our chat today that sparks something for you, something you might be excited to try? Let us know down in the comments.